when he was baptised by an Arian bishop. So the guy that's supposed to be the pinnacle of making the world Christian was actually Arian. On his deathbed, he was baptised as an Arian. So he's gone to the Arian heaven, right? Along with Orphelas, who then took it to the Goths, and who then became the Visigoths, who then controlled this area. And I would love to know, we need to dig away and find out more about who they were, what they taught, where their priests were. Because they've been totally demonised by the official church, the Catholic Church as it's called, which was really basically adopted as a kind of totem by the Frankish tribes to explain their right to conquer everything. Because if you've got the one true and only God, everyone else is a heretic, and you can conquer them. And that was the Frankish propaganda machine, which didn't align with the Roman propaganda machine, which was churning away, we're the only church, we're the best, we're the only popes, Whereas from a Catholic, Druid, Christian, Pelagian perspective, all that we're the only is suspect. We are all the all should be the refrain, right? And it seems to me we are the only kind of thing is always on the run from the devil. It's always fear inspired, and the Catholics really terrifying the devil. I don't think the Arian Christians were. I don't think Orphelas was. I mean, he was going out bravely into the woods talking to long-haired goth types, and getting away with it and having great parties. So I think there's some work to be done on Arius in relation to the devil. And what was the Arian take on Mary Magdalene? Because if you have a non-supernatural walking view of Jesus, then Mary's role is a bit more human too. She can be just his consort, his best friend, his lover, but person at the end of the day helps him unwind, and we all need someone like that, don't we? Some research is needed. Does the Catholic Church have special teachings about Mary Magdalene? This is number 28. Well, we've got an expert who's going to be sharing what the Catholic theology was. I think, from what I can tell, I'm only, I've read as much as I can and studied it. I think that the Catholics thought of Jesus and Mary as consorts. I think the tradition was they thought they were equivalent to man and wife, but it was a sort of a consort thing. And probably that they saw sexuality as something not just about procreation and having a family, but it was about sacred sexuality. I suspect, and I'm willing to have the discussion, that the Cathars were not completely asexual. We know that only the Parfait is sworn to non-sexuality, but to not physically make love doesn't mean you give up on eroticism or the power of love. The Parfait could probably had like cosmic sex lives. I mean, I once met a slightly interesting woman who told us that when she made love, planets were being born in another part of the universe.
It wasn't me, by the way.
You witnessed this.
I'm horrified.
Yeah.
So, like, for her, an orgasm wasn't just
that was a powerful one.
This is like powerful. In another part of the universe, there's a planet. So, I think it's possible to elevate Eros to a subliminal level where you can do that kind of stuff.
There is a tradition of this in the Catholic Church called syzygies.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Syzygy, okay, yeah. Divine twins.
Yeah, divine complements, and one of the couples that are given as an example of that is St. Francis and St. Clare.
Excellent.
They never had a physical.
They didn't need to have a physical relationship, but they had an esoteric, erotic stroke agapic love.
That was meant to create the divine hermaphrodite, the androgyne.
Okay. Yeah. So there's a big discussion, and the devil is often seen as hermaphrodite. The images the Templars and others are accused of using has both male and female qualities. So in the Mithraic tradition, often you have an androgyne or hermaphroditic figure. Okay, another question I've got is, was the equal status given to women in the Catholic Church connected with its persecution by mainstream Christianity? Undoubtedly so, I think. But is this also connected with the fact that women were often accused of being in touch with the devil more than men? Women seem to have this more easily, the notion of having intercourse with demons was a very big thing in witchcraft hunting manuals. If anyone is having intercourse with demons, they are suspect of witchcraft.
Rosemary's Baby, right?
I don't know, I've never seen that
The
movie.
movie Rosemary's Baby.
Yeah, but that would be the fear of that reappearing in the cinema. It's a very deep fear among men that their women are off copulating with demons at night, and they'll make peepholes and they'll spy on them.
Oh, wow.
And if you're caught, you get burned, basically. Now, it's odd because what's the fear here? Is it that women are more sexualized, so they're able to fantasize more? Are these erotic fantasies?
I think it's because women are more naturally mediumistic.
Okay.
And
Can you say that again?
Right. They're more naturally...
mediumistic.
Right,
And
right.
so more prone to visitations from spirit or the spiritual world.
Yeah, yeah. And the spirits tend to be quite lusty sometimes. And, I mean, we're among friends, and, you know, I personally don't have a problem with this. I know a couple of amazing women at the moment in my life that I've met who swear to me that they actively, you know, have a god as a lover. You know, and I'm not jealous. I don't have a problem. I think that's pretty extraordinary. If they can, now I don't know if it's a visualization practice they're doing, or if it's a fantasy, or if it's actual, and I don't care. But I'm not going to stick them on the bonfire for that. I think we humans, we should be allowed to have very exotic and interesting sexual lives. If you can make love to a god or a goddess, good on you is what I say. But then I'm a philosopher and a pagan druid.
So there's a Christian mystic called Anna Kingsford. Has anyone heard
Anna
of her?
Kingsford, yeah.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
talks a lot about this, and also Ida Craddock, who was convinced that she was having an erotic relationship with an angel. She
Okay.
wrote a lot of books about sex in the 19th century in America, and when she died, she was a virgin, so they didn't know how she knew all of this stuff about sex. She said that
She was having sex with the angel.
told her all of these things, and she wrote several books about it, and unfortunately she was committed. First of all, she was in prison for indecency, and then she was committed into an insane asylum. And then when she escaped from the insane asylum, she was about to be put back in prison, and so she committed suicide in the end.
That's an extraordinary story.
Very
I bet there are a lot of women in insane asylums now that they're in there for making love to demons, I bet. I'm just saying it's an area that needs studied research, just as John Mack was prepared to look at abductees scientifically from Harvard University and was not thrown out for it. I think this is a field to investigate. And maybe these people are pioneers, you know, maybe humans are supposed to be the intermediary between the divine world and the animal world. And, you know, just to be really controversial, what's the difference between the Virgin Mary being impregnated by the Archangel Gabriel on behalf of God? You know, what's that? Isn't that some kind of transference between a supernatural being and an earthly being?
Weird stuff.
Is that, you know, that should be in the Fortean Times, you know.
Yeah.
I've just conceived the Messiah with an angel.
Yeah.
I mean, if you said that today walking around the streets of London, you'd be incarcerated.
You know, they don't even ask that question. You know, I think it's really
Yeah.
interesting how
I think we
people
should.
don't really ask that question of how it was she considered.
And yet it's a core part of the
How was
faith.
sexually
It's an
conceived.
absolute, yeah. So maybe it was, I mean, forgive me if this, I don't think the pursuit of truth is never blasphemy. If it was some kind of erotic fantasy with an angel that went the whole hog, you know, I mean, I suspend judgment. I'm simply an academic asking awkward questions here. So, what do we know, if anything, about the Manichaean teachings? Marni is an interesting character. If you've not come across him, he lived between 216 and 277 AD, Marni. He was from an Aramaic-speaking Iranian mixed background, and he set up the Manichaean Church in 240 at Seleucia Ketisphon, age 24. He'd been the founder of the Elkasai sect that practiced baptism. He loved Enoch's books. He went to India, he studied Buddhism and Jainism, Vedic Hinduism. He knew all about esoteric Kabbalah, Judaism. He studied Christianity, particularly Paul, and he wrote a book called the Book of Giants based on Enoch's story of the impregnation of earth women by angelic beings, which is what the Book of Enoch plot story is. And that's how the angelic beings fall, because they fell in love with earth women who were so sexy to them that they had to take bodies and become earth men. And they become the race of giants. This is biblical orthodoxy, right? So the backstory is we could all be descendants of these fallen angelic beings that fell in love with earth women 24,000 BC. Right. That's where this is possibly leading. Marnie said, that's true, and it's time for us to get home. This is a wake-up call from the great father of the universe. Stop messing around, guys. Let's go, we have a duty to go back and report back to the absolute grand central council of the entire universe. You know, this planet's a bit fallen. And so Marnie thought that Christ and Buddha and Zoroaster were all foreshadowers of this call, which he would then revive. And there's a whole lineage of revivers of it. And it's basically Jainism. You just abstain from violence, absolutely, but thought, word, and deed. You practice meditation. You abstain from the kinds of foods and things that are going to screw your body or mind. And really, that's what the Cathars are practicing. There's a line between the Manichaeans and the Cathars, which is direct. And when I was driving up to Montsegur, I got to Daffern saying, this is a mountain of light. Because these people were just, pure spiritual practitioners. I'm a very close friend with many Jain saints in India. I knew Acharya Tulsi, who was the greatest realized Jain master of this century, last century. And they practiced absolute non-violence, and therefore they endorsed the peace work that we should be doing. These Cathars were pioneers of peace work and interfaith peace work, right? And even, dare they say, making peace between God and the devil. These just seem to be cosmic supernatural egos back in who should run the show. You've got Lucifer and you've got Yahweh. They're both as bad as each other. That would be the Cathar point of view. Let's give the absolute Lord of everything the power to mediate here by living as purely as we can.
Can I just interject on this?
Yes.
Unfortunately for the Cathars it didn't work. Their non-violent stance meant that they were effectively assassinated.
Well, this is the problem. So at a certain point they started to fight back, and this is a long discussion. They had to have their knights to protect them, or the parfait would have been massacred. That's a long discussion.
I'm sure you've got something to say about that.
Yeah, I have a big theory about it.
Great.
There will be. I mean, I'm coming to the end because time is pressing. But so the question then, I've got other questions here. What is the relationship between Gnosticism and Mary Magdalene and reincarnation? This is a huge topic. We know the Cathars believed in reincarnation, but what kind of reincarnation? Rudolf Steiner, anthroposophy, theosophy, Jainism, the Druids all believe in reincarnation. But again, what kind? There are variants. And how does, the study of Mary Magdalene, the academic study of Mary Magdalene, has to involve the study of reincarnation theory and people who've remembered past lives. There's a lot of channeled stuff and remembered stuff about those lifetimes. Now, how does that happen? Are they kind of downloads from the collective unconscious, or are there people walking around that were actually in that, playing those roles? And then how does reincarnation theory deal with the devil? I personally, in all the studies I've done of reincarnated life stories and inter-incarnational hypnotherapeutic research, which is something I'm very interested in, which is where you go between lives, I use reincarnation as a working hypothesis as a philosopher. It's an ancient tradition going back to Plato and the ancient Druids. It works for me, but only as a hypothesis. It could be wrong. But I think there's a lot of evidence in favour of it. But the evidence I've seen doesn't point to a demonic world, and most of the past life or interlife experiences are beneficent. Yes, there are lessons and there's learning and you have to face what you've done, but I've seen no reports of hell type things going on. And I think that the Quran, Muhammad, in his eschatological vision of hell, which is very present in the Quran, was working with a false model epistemologically. That's why the Quran doesn't sit well with many cultures. And I think that the biblical texts were interpreted, also the Apocalypse and other texts, with the emphasis on hell in the Middle Ages, I think was a false eschatology. And that science, this is why I'm a believer in scientific study of these things, can, as it were, prove that the diabolic world of the medieval imagination is unfactual. It's something we've haunted ourselves with. And it goes right back as far as the book of Enoch. You see, in Enoch, when Enoch goes to heaven, he sees all the angels who've been cavorting with earth with him, led by Azazel. And they're all now imprisoned in hell, waiting for final judgment. And their sin was to lust after earth women, and angels aren't supposed to do that. Well, I think it's time for a general discussion about this whole myth. And I don't think that's such a big sin, personally. If I was a wandering aerial angel spirit and I came to earth and saw some beautiful women, I might want to have human incarnations. I don't think that's a terrible sin. But, can't we, and what happened to forgiveness? What happened to forgiveness? I think if Christ means anything, and Mary Magdalene's story means anything, it means forgiveness. And that has to include forgiveness for the demons. And maybe that's how Christ was able to cast out the demons. You see, he was able to bring the good news. There's been a get out of jail free card to all the demons, as long as you're good from now on. Right? Discuss. So, I've gone into, in much more detail, you can read the written version of this talk. The theosophical tradition on Mary Magdalene is interesting. Alice Bailey and Neo-Theosophy talk about her to some extent. And they talk about Christ as an initiate who has his own spiritual journey and voyage to make. And in the Gnostic Liberal Catholic Church of Daffern and Co, they want to know what was actually going on inwardly in the Christ story and what was Mary Magdalene's role. I think she was a co-initiate. My working hypothesis is she was a co-initiate on her own journey. And they found that working together was good. And so we had the phrase shared by Siobhan, who can't be with us today, the idea of the co-Messiah project. And then there's Gnostic churches like the one founded by Dwarnell with Lady Caithness reviving the Catholic Church that Amanda comes from. Again, what was their view of Mary Magdalene? Well, hopefully we'll hear about that a bit later. So I'm going to finish there. There's a lot more. I'm going to skip to the conclusions. And we're going to have like a session for general discussion, so if you've got questions to what I'm saying, you can bring them up there. My overall conclusions, having been working on this for a while, are that the rediscovery of the lost Mary Magdalene feminine aspect of the Church's teachings can help restore common sense to interfaith dialogue. And that can enable us to challenge the diabolic wars that are going on. You see, it's exoteric religions that are fighting for control of this planet, saying ours is the only God, yours is the devil. I mean, that is so childish. I'm a teacher. That's like the kids in the playground saying, I've got the only ball, you can't play. I mean, for God's sake, kids, share the ball around. Let's play games. You be the devil this time, and I'll be the good guys. And then we'll swap. Let's rediscover the art of play. That's why I like theatre, and some of the people that are speaking today are going for theatrical types. This is all theatre. And Dionysus, to me, is the lord of the theatre, literally. And he was the Greek closest they got to the devil, is Dionysus. And all he likes to do is have a nice party and a bit of an orgy, but a nice one, right? I'm with Dionysus and Bacchus, who was the Roman equivalent. And I think Jesus was. If you listen to my commentaries on the New Testament, peeking through is the Dionysian aspect of Christ, which is why he got up the nose of some of the rabbis. He said, why is he always off partying with fallen people like prostitutes and God knows what, homeless people? He was, to me, if anything, he's the incarnation of Dionysus, that's why. Who was the Son of God.
May I ask, if he's the incarnation of Dionysus, who would Mary Magdalene be in that equation?
That is great. Well, Ariadne was Dionysus' consort. But that's a very good question. Sophia, I don't know. Let's think that one through.
Let's think about it.
Okay, the next thing I would say is we have to really ground the work. As a first thing, we we should get the religious leaders on the planet to sign the Interfaith Peace Treaty. Now, a number of people in this room have, Amanda has, and others. Some have never heard of it. Well, what is it? It's a great idea, because how do wars end? They end because people sign a peace treaty. It's the only way we ever end wars. Even the IRA and the Ulster Loyalists, they signed a treaty, the Good Friday Agreement, and that stopped wars. So we need to get the religious leaders on the planet, including the Gnostics and the Catholics and the Neo-Cathars and the Israelites and the Druids and all of them, the Rastafarians and the Satanists. Everybody's invited to this party, right? And the Yazidis and all the others, and the Confucianists and the Taoists and the Zoroastrians, right? And the Living Church and the whatever in California. The treaty is very simple, 45 paragraphs, and it says, we will not, under any circumstances, attack, destroy, rape, burn, pillage the other believers that have signed this treaty. This is like a mutual agreement. We will not defame or disparage their beliefs. We will study together. We will share our scriptures and write sacred writings, they will share theirs. We will not destroy each other's libraries. We will not behead each other. We will not rape each other. We will elevate our theological differences to rational discourse and submit it to the scientific study of comparative religion. That's what the 47 paragraphs. To us, it might be common sense, but it really needs to be articulated out there. I'd like to see a copy on every mosque, church, gurdwara, and temple on the planet. And all the priests, bishops, and rabbis, imams sign it. So please help. I can't do it alone. It's got its own website. It's called interfaithpeacetreaty.com. Write it down. And tell all your friends to sign it. You don't have to be a bishop or a bigwig to sign it. We're all equal souls. Everybody. So that's one thing. I also think, and there's a thing in there about the devil, about retro-projecting the devil onto each other. We won't do that anymore. Then there's, I think, another thing the Mary Magdalene tradition can help with, jumping to the conclusion, is that sexual gnosis is part of dyadic self-transcendence. So I think, the right to cosmic lovemaking should be there as a blueprint for all of us, and it should be, it's a human right, right? And there are some great teachers out there, tantra teachers and so on. I was invited to give a talk on a thing called Tantra Punk website. There's an amazing guy in LA who's created this site, which is advanced tantric initiatory, esoteric sexual knowledge for the street kids who are doing too many drugs and gang warfare. Get them exploring their own cosmic self-transcendence. Mary Magdalene can be the goddess of the street for this. Okay, I think she's also a bridge between exoteric and esoteric forms of Christianity, but also between spirituality and science. To really understand what she was doing, we have to be scientific. I also think that her story is a clarion call for refinding peace on earth. It's very interesting, the fragments of the Gospel of Mary Magdalene end with perfect repose, the state that she reaches through her Gnostic voyage into the underworld, like on her ayahuasca trip or LSD trip. I mean, for any of you that have been on those kind of journeys, you reach a point of perfect clarity and peace. That's what she reaches. I don't think she needed to take drugs to do it. I think they're all inside. We have ayahuasca inside, or DMT. So I think she's a clarion call for finding peace because she's Jewish and Christian. She's beyond labels and identity. What a stupid idea anti-Semitism was, it's ridiculous. So philo-Semitism, appreciating the complex, multi-dimensional texture that we all are, plural. So Mary Magdalene is Jewish, she's also Christian, she's also overspills into the Islamic Sufi tradition, also the pagan tradition, which many pagans revere, and the Hermetic tradition in Egypt, which is, to me, a very heavy text, the Hermetic text, and the Zoroastrians. So, if Mary Magdalene would come to us, she would say to all that lot, make peace immediately, tomorrow, sign the peace treaty. Then we can start being civilized. Also, Islam and Judaism particularly need to reclaim the Mary Magdalene of it's part of their story. The lost feminine goddess, they want it, especially Jewish women. We had somebody talking about this, Shalom. I still think there's a book to be written, Mary Magdalene for the Jewish synagogue. The synagogues need to get with the fact that Mary Magdalene was on their team, and they should have a little niche. Finally, I think that identity theory holds the key to these conflicts. As a specialist in interfaith mediation, the reason I like Mary Magdalene and Yeshua is they were complex people, and Mary particularly, I don't think the 7 demons is literal. I think she was able to zip between different zones of her personality. She could play the Aphrodite, she could play the Athene. She had multiple identities, and that's why Jesus liked her. And he could too. And so, if you look at the work of James Hillman, Archetypal Psychology, and David Miller, a religious studies expert, they've taken this idea into a field called the original polytheism, that we can go back to the fertility of the gods and goddesses. This is why our pagan ancestors wanted a pantheon of gods. And that pantheon is there in the Kabbalah and in the Sufi and esoteric teachings. I think Mary Magdalene and Jesus knew this. And we can listen to the stories of the ancient world, the pagan world, through fresh ears. And peace will come when we hold these conversations like we're doing today, and learn and listen to each other. And the right to ask these questions is really important. The parts of the world I'd probably be burned by now for saying something like this. And no doubt some of the other speakers today will all be burned. But hopefully nobody's tipped off the Inquisition yet. But now I think it's time to revive that courage of questioning that Socrates had, and also St. Thomas had. I've written a book called The Book of Thomas's. I'm very much in that lineage, and I think Thomas worked with Mary Magdalene in a sort of inner sanctum of Christ's initiates who got the message, the Gnostic message. Okay, there's some thoughts I've thrown out. I hope you found that useful. So thank you so much.